Only in America.
Only in America.
Only in America.
Only in America.
Only America.
Only in America.
This week, a former Olympian tells a story and discusses what's next for the sport and his home country.
You can set your goal and you can achieve it, and we showed them that we did it right there. We didn't go to train in Kenya, we didn't go to Ethiopia, we didn't go anywhere else. We trained there, and everything happened right there. So it was a big lesson for not only the kids, but for the whole community and the villages to show them that, hey, let's set our mind to do something and we can definitely get it done. So that was the biggest thing for me for the Olympics, and then meeting all those cool people was amazing.
From the National Immigration Forum, I'm Ali Nirani, and this is Only in America. The Tokyo Olympics are well underway, and already there are so many great stories emerging. One of the greatest is that of the refugee Olympic team. These 29 athletes on the team play different sports and are from different nations, but they share one thing in common. All were forced to flee their home countries and overcome incredible circumstances just to get to the world's biggest stage. There's also the story of Eddie Alvarez, who represented Team USA as a flag bearer for this year's opening ceremony. Alvarez is the son of Cuban immigrants, and at the 2014 Sochi Winter Games, he became the first Cuban-American male Winter Olympian. Now, just 7 years later in Tokyo, he's an infielder for the U.S. baseball team. The Olympics are a unique opportunity to celebrate both individual victories and our collective unity. So, we went for the gold this week, and we spoke with a former Olympian. Makorobondo di Salukombo was born in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. After war broke out in Congo in 2000, his family was forced to flee to Uganda, which is where he first learned to love running.
So in Uganda, they don't have gyms, or they don't have like athletic program like here. So I was attending, it's a school called Valerian Primary School. And for PE, what the teacher will do, they'll come with a big stick and they'll go like, if you can walk, you can run. And they'll just take everybody outside and we will run anywhere from 3 to 5 miles. So that's how I kind of started running. I did not choose to, I had to, but I enjoyed it. And we ran for the school a couple meet. I love it, I enjoy it. I'm a little good at it. And I'm just thankful. It's not everybody who can run. So yeah, I love it. And the second reason, it's to me, running, it's almost a representation of life, because there's no way you can be good at running if you don't put in the work. Like you have to work, you have to work. And that's what life has been to me since I was a little kid. My parents, as refugees, sometimes my mom will work for like 18 hours a day just to make sure we ate. And sometimes she'll come home with nothing. And the next morning, she'll wake up and do the same thing. So it's work. Like, she had no choice. She had to work.
After 4 years in Uganda, Dee's family was able to resettle in the United States. With the help of the United Nations and Catholic Charities of Cleveland, they settled in Lakewood, Ohio.
Once we arrived in the U.S. in 2004, So except running in Uganda, I only ran like in one meet, and then in Congo, we only ran when there's war. I had like no idea people ran for fun until I arrived in the United States. And the way I started running was weird because in Congo, I played soccer. So we arrived in June and school started in August. So from June, we had the summer, and I had some friends in the neighborhood. So they'll take us to play soccer and we'll play with them. When school started, they actually wanted me to play in the soccer team, which I was fine with it. And then this one day we are doing practice on the track, and I'm just running and I'm just passing everyone. And this guy just shows up. He's like, we want you. And I'm like, you want me for what? I'm like, I want you to run for us. So when I arrived in the US, my answer was yes. I wanted to do everything. I wanted to take every single opportunity that was given to me. And I think part of it was just like, I was just so thankful to be in this country that I didn't want to say no to anybody, so I don't want to offend anybody. So I was like, yes, I'll run for you. Having a stick behind me to somebody just saying, hey, we want you. And I'm like, okay.
After success on the track team in high school, Dee chose to attend Denison University, partly for the sense of community that he got from the program.
When I graduated from high school, I actually I had a bunch of offers, but I had three choices between Ohio State University, Miami University, or Denison University. So the coach from Denison, his name is Torrance. He showed up. He will call me every week, not only to check on my running, but to check on my classes, on my parents, on how I'm doing, my training plan, like my educational plan. So it wasn't just about running, but it was about he wanted to know how I'm doing. And I just love that about him, that I went to visit Denison. It was just a beautiful place, beautiful people. And I decided to go there. The great thing about that, I didn't know this at the time. I went there, and then his wife was working at the library, right? So I got a job at the library working for her. I guess my running, because I know my first ever college meet, I won it. And he was so happy. And the next day I talked to his wife, and she was just all smiles. And she just like, thank you so much. I saw my husband. He's been the happiest since our son died. And thank you for bringing that back in my house. And I was just like, yeah, so wait, what? Just from running? I mean, it gave me, and those are my second parents. I have a room in their house, gave me relationship, new parents.
And it was those experiences in college that inspired Dee to return to Congo and start Project Kirotshe after graduating.
When I was in Congo, our classrooms, we had like over 50 kids in the classroom. I never owned a textbook. So the way they'll teach us, they teach out if you're lucky. And that subject, we have a textbook, they'll come, write it down in the blackboard. You have to write in your book. And if you're lucky, the teacher will give it to you to take it back to the office. Then you see a little bit of pictures and you're like, oh, that was cool. But to be able to ship almost 12,000 books, start the first library, we had computers, and some of those kids were the first time that they touched a computer, all because of running. It became bigger than me. So it's not running anymore, but it can actually create opportunities and give other kids a chance. And then moving forward, we trained for the Olympics. Imagine this is 2012. I graduate college and I go back to Congo. And I get there and I'm like, hey, who wants to train for the Olympics? And they're like, what is the Olympics? Right? So they have no idea. But the next morning, I had over 400 kids who showed up at 3 in the morning. They wanted to be Olympians. And then 2 months later, once they realized it's not easy, I only had about 25 kids left. Out of those 25, 4 years later, one of them was able to run at the Olympics. She's a girl. Her name is Beatrice. And she showed to a lot of those kids that you set your mind to something, you can achieve it. So it's fun, but it's also about like goal settings and just showing other people that there's something better, or there's something that's out there that can help you that you don't even know about. It's just like, I love it. And it has touched a lot of people in my life.
Like so many other instances in sports, when two groups come together, he saw an astounding bond begin to form.
In Congo, some people were like making fun of us, like when we run with our short shorts and like, what are you guys doing? Are you guys crazy? So running, it's like it was something new to those kids. So most of the young people right now, all they know is war. All they've known since they were born is like running from war, being afraid. They cannot trust anybody, losing. So they've been just living a losing life. So when you go there, you're like, yeah, let's get a team together. And even with the team back in Congo, right now we have over 100 kids that train together. I would try to keep them in school, but most importantly is that creating that community for them. We had kids from actually different villages. And one thing that happened, we had some of those kids from the mountains, the Hutus, they came to join the team. And at the beginning, there was like tension between those kids. And even people were like afraid, like, oh, these kids, like they might like fight or like even like do something bad to each other. But after, because I was there for almost 6 months, we went after maybe 3-4 months, we planned a trip to go. We started like visiting, like these kids will go to that village to do that stuff. So this one Sunday, we left early in the morning and we went to, it's called Kiluku. It's a bunch of like the Hutus, most of them are Hutus who live there. So we go with the mountains and I take all these kids with me, right? We go there around 6 in the morning and the kids had a blast. They had fun. That was the first time they went there. They are actually seeing how the other kids are living and they didn't want to come back. And those kids over there, they welcomed them. They had a lot of food, drinks. So they just wanted to stay there. And we stayed there till around like 7 p.m. And it was dark already. So we are coming down the mountains, about 8 miles of walking, pitch black. When we reach in the village, a bunch of people in the village, men in the village, they were like mobilizing each other. They thought that we went there and they killed us. And we came back like singing and like dancing, and the kids were just like, and then we had to take each kid to their house. And so we came in the village and they're like worried. They were like, nah, we had so much fun.
Throughout his time creating the school and mentoring the young runners, Dee still had his sights set on the Olympics.
But for me, I didn't want them to select me. I wanted to actually qualify for it. So I get to Canada and we're running. We get to the half marathon. It was like 1:08. And I'm like, it's not bad. I'm feeling great. I don't know what happened. From the half, me and this other guy, we started talking during the race. Who does that, right? So we ran, and then I get to 23 miles. I'm like, what am I doing? I check my split and everything. I'm like, dang it, I was behind time. And we were talking, and I'm just like, God, why? So yeah, it was 23 miles, and there was no way I would like hit the time. So I just kept running, and I finished. And I'm sitting on the side, and I'm just like, well, my journey is kind of over, but Beatrice made it, and we just have to wait for 2020. And I'm sitting there, and they're starting announcing people who qualified for the Olympics, and they call my name, and I'm like, I didn't run the time. Like, what are you talking about? But it was a gold event race that if you finish top 10, you automatically make it. And I was 9th. So I got my ticket in the hard way, and I had no idea. But I mean, I'm a Christian, and sometimes I always say like, yeah, God was just laughing at me, and then he just goes like, nah, I had you from the beginning. Just wanted to see your reaction.
So Dee competed in the men's marathon in the Rio 2016 Summer Olympics. And while he didn't win a medal, Dee knows that it was important to set a goal and, well, go for it.
My coach back in my sophomore year, he set up a goal for me, Olympics. And I made it. And I feel like when I went back to Kirotshe, I just told those kids, hey, this is what we're going for. So it was more like a lesson about like, have a long-term goal. You can set your goal and you can achieve it. And we showed them that we did it right there. We didn't go to train in Kenya. We didn't go to Ethiopia. We didn't go anywhere else. We trained there, and everything happened right there. So it was a big lesson for not only the kids, but for the whole community and the villages to show them that, hey, let's set our mind to do something and we can definitely get it done. So that was the biggest thing for me for the Olympics. And then meeting all those cool people was amazing.
He had planned to go to the Olympics in Tokyo this year, but just like for so many of us, the last year changed his plans.
In 2019, July, I did quit my job I wanted to give myself a year to train for the 2020 Olympics, right? So I'm training and March comes and Corona comes. So everything canceled. And by that time, I got married also in 2019 in May. And then I had my son in March of 2020. So it becomes a little different because I'm not fighting for it. Just not me anymore. I can just stand up and just go. I have a wife. I have my child. I have to start planning for them as well. As much I have all those kids there, he's their big brother, even though he's only 1 year old. So that's why, like for this year, everything just shifted. I prayed about it, thought about it.
And while the foundation is still a priority, Dee says that he hasn't given up on the Olympics quite yet either.
We're not stopping until we win the medal for Congo, if not the first one.
In every leg of his journey, Dee always goes back to the importance of education and community.
We're focusing not only education, but we want to teach them, and we're doing a bunch of conferences, races, all that stuff. So we want to do more than just running. I know initially when I went there, the goal was Olympics, and that was Mr. Olympics. That was my name at that time. But now we have over 100 kids, and will all those kids make the Olympics? No. Just want to think ahead of time for them. And right now, actually, we have this kid, one of the smartest kid that I know. He's from Kiluku, the mountains. Last year, he moved to the town right now. He's not living in the village. But when he was in the village, because that's where he studied, we paid his tuition since he was like in primary school. And he was a really, really good student. He got his 2-year degree in nursing. And at some time in the village, they'll leave him the hospital to manage. And he will take the whole weekend. Like sometimes, hey, D, I just finished, I had like a 48-hour shift, but I'm going running. I'm like, dude, rest. Like, no, I have to go run. But now he went to the town, and he's working, he's continuing studying, and he's still running. So that's just one of them, but just the domino effect. And that's what we're trying to teach them. Like, hey, I mean, running is great, right? But maybe you will not be like a professional, but if you continue with your education, you get your degree, maybe tomorrow you'll be somebody important and you can help other people the same way. Yeah, it's not easy, but the fruits are starting to come slowly.
Dee Salukombo is a former Olympic athlete and founder of Project Kirotshe. You can learn more about Dee at our website, immigrationforum.org/podcast. If you like what you hear, subscribe to Only in America wherever you're listening to this episode. Only in America is produced and edited by Katie Lutz, Joanna Taylor, and Becca Wall. Our artwork and graphics are designed by Carla Leha. I'm Ali Nirani. Thank you so much for listening, and I will talk to you next week.
Support for the National Immigration Forum comes from the Carnegie Corporation of New York, supporting innovations in education, democratic engagement, and strengthening international peace and security. And from Humanity United. When humanity is united, we can bring a powerful force for human dignity.